I'm not here to waste any of your time. I'm Davari. I moved to LA when I was 19 with no job, no secure job, no income, no permanent place to stay. So I think I have a pretty credible source to ask, how do you move to LA? Before we get started, there are 3 things. If you don't have these 3 things, click off this video, get it done, because any major city, not even just LA, if you're planning to move, you need at minimum these 3 things. Number 1, a credit score. A lot of people our age don't know this, but you need a credit score to rent out and to be considered a reliable lender. So if you don't have a credit score, if you're unsure if you have a credit score, click off this video, apply for a credit card, start spending and paying off that credit card reliably. In about 6 months to a year, you will have a good credit score that most people will lend out to you and rent out to you. Number 2, if you've never been to LA before, immediately no. Click off this video, book your next flight to LA because you have to see it. LA is not what the influencers make it out to be, and LA is most definitely not what you imagine it to be. LA is a major city at the end of the day, and every major city has major problems. So if you've never been to LA, book a flight, you have to see it for yourself. And last but not least, number 3, this isn't a deal breaker, but if you have no savings, I am warning you, you will be miserable in your time in LA because you will be working so hard, paycheck to paycheck to paycheck, have no money to do anything. You won't be able to even enjoy your new move. If you have no savings, I'm sure you can do it. Not recommended. With that out of the way, let's begin into how I moved to LA. That introduction took so much out of me. I was trying so hard to just be very punctual. Oh, goodness gracious. All over my pants. I would like to also say, before we really get into the meat of this video, I'm making this video an assumption that you have no other financial support besides yourself. Now, for the people that have the extra additional support, good for you. That's gonna make everything in the moves that much easier. For the most part, I've done most of this move by myself. Please, I so urge you to come see LA first. I love LA even after being here for about 6 months. However, even then, even with all my small visits to LA, it still didn't prepare me for what it's like to live here. So get whatever experience you can in the city. I'm enjoying my time in LA, but again, that may not be for everyone. So now I'm gonna start into how I moved to LA. Actually, it's really funny. I was at work and I was talking to my coworker. Oh, and I asked her, where do you see me living? I don't know, I feel like I'm not meant to be here. Where do you feel like I live? And she was like, honestly, I see you living in LA. And I was like, LA? I can see it too. And that was when my whole obsession started. I started talking about it every day. I started telling everyone, I'm gonna move to LA, I'm gonna move to LA. That was 2 years ago before I decided to move. The first thing I did, and first thing I urge you all to do, research LA. Watch as many videos as you can about LA. I probably will put out a video about my experience in LA very soon, but watch as many videos as you can. Google as many searches as you can. Literally overwhelm yourself with information about LA just so you're aware. And then after you know what LA is kind of like, start researching different areas. This is what I didn't really understand about LA with all my short visits, is that LA is a huge, huge, huge city. Driving back and forth isn't very plausible with as much traffic as there is in LA. You're not gonna wanna go back and forth, back and forth. So if you can find the place that's perfect for you, that you feel most at home in, that would be the best option, because trust me, you do not wanna be driving back and forth, back and forth. Traffic is as bad as everyone says it is. It's horrible. So after that, I started mapping out how much I should be saving. But my recommendation, and this might be a very steep recommendation for a lot of people, but if you're going to move to LA, with expensive as it is, save at minimum $10,000. Now, I did the move with I think about $7,000, $6,000. I did pretty good, but if I had that extra $10,000, I would have been way more comfortable and I would have been less in a rush to find a job and find a place. For reference, if you're curious on how expensive LA is, if you saw my last video and the size of my studio, so this is my studio apartment, I pay $1,350 a month. Utilities included, just simply the rent. So it's a very steep, if you're pretty much anywhere you move, unless you're moving from New York, Chicago, Houston, that's gonna be a very steep increase in spendage. So after at our age, we're probably going to need roommates. So after that, I was like, okay. At the time, it was me and another girl that were going to move to LA together. And I was like, okay, now we need some roommates because this is gonna be expensive. I'm not ready for the responsibility. We went on Facebook and we joined a bunch. If you've been to college or you had to find roommates through Facebook, you kind of know the deal. I joined a bunch of Facebook like threads. We made our post. We got a bunch of people that reached out to us. Found some people we were compatible with, but different budgets. It's just a whole like dating app. So we had came down to 4 roommates. Now my next thing, roommates are no joke. You need to find someone that you're compatible with, or this is gonna tie into how your experience in LA is going to be. Be 100% sure, because you're signing a lease with that person, you are signing a contract to stay in that place with that person for over a year. Not over a year, for a year. And after you find your solid group of roommates, or one roommate, whatever you do, this is where the really tough part comes in. So, finding apartments. Now let's assume you're all out of state. Obviously, I came from out of state. So the sites that we initially used was Zillow, apartments.com, Trulia, found a lot of awesome places, but since none of us at the time lived in LA or had the transportation to go to any apartment viewings, we had to request in specific virtual tours, which a lot of places were, you know, they were open to sending you a virtual tour, but my experience is because you're not currently in LA and you're currently not ready to move, you're not there right now, I felt as though they were taking priority over other people than us. Finding apartments in LA is very, very cutthroat, I feel like. It's very quick, it's very fast, things go quick, you have to jump on a contract, like it's super quick. Eventually, our 4 roommate collab fell through, and then it went down to 2. We tried doing the same thing. Trulia, apartments.com, all this stuff, it just was not working because I didn't live in LA. I couldn't get there to see these real tours, like build a relationship with the person, the real estate agent. It was just so hard. So I did the unbelievable to get something, because at this point I'm on a time crunch. My roommate's lease was getting ready to end, so I did a very risky move, which I don't know if I'd recommend this, but this is what I did. So I told my dad, listen, I'm gonna ship my car out. I know I don't have a job, and I know I have no source of income, but I have savings, and this is where savings is so important, but I have savings. So I think this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna ship my car out. I don't care what happens next. Like, I just need to get out there. I was like, I need to go, I need to go, I need to go, I need to get there because I won't be able to move without it. I'm on a time crunch. Alana's lease is ending soon. I have to get on it. And that's exactly what I did. I shipped my car very riskily, shipped my car the next week. My whole family kept asking, and my friends were, oh, when are you moving? When are you moving? When are you moving? I was like, oh, I don't know, I don't know. And then that day I decided to ship my car, and that my car was gonna make it to LA next week. I pretty much told them, oh, I'm gonna leave on August 2nd. I've decided, randomly, like literally 5 days before I ended up leaving, I told them, okay, I'm leaving this day. Like, that's it, I'm gone. And everyone's like, oh my gosh, he's leaving so soon. It was just so quick, so fast. I don't know what got into me to make that decision. I was just so determined. I was not allowing it. I was gonna make it. I was gonna make it work. I was gonna make it happen. And this brings me to my next point. If you have anyone at all that's generous enough to let you stay with them while you get on your feet, while you find a job, while you can find an apartment, please, please take advantage. Well, not in that way, but take advantage of that opportunity. Be grateful for that opportunity, because that was one of the reasons I succeeded. So now I think right now, the timeline, I'm with Alana, we're apartment hunting, we're doing our thing, we're apartments.com, calling all these places, setting up live tours. Finally, people are actually like reaching back out to us because they've met us in person. We were on top of it, but it still wasn't quite enough. It's because Trulia, apartments.com, Zillow, the whole world can see it. And think about it, there's so many qualified people out there, the whole world can see these listings. And the competition was high and things were going quick. It was like end of August and we just were not eligible enough comparatively to those other people. So this is when I tried a new tactic. So I was like, Alana, how about let's try driving around, finding signs, taking pictures of those signs saying that they were renting, and calling them. Because those listings aren't on Zillow, apartments.com, all these places. Those listings are just for the local LA people, and we probably would have a better chance getting an apartment through one of those, and we went on Zillow and apartments.com. It was working. Like, we were getting a lot of live tours. We were getting people that were even offering us, like, oh yeah, like if you're interested, get your application in. I think I'll push this through. And it was working. It was a lot more effective for me. Ultimately though, we still, in that month time frame before her lease ended, could not find a place in time. At this point, it's getting desperate for me because it's either ship my car back, move back home, which I was not going to do, or run my savings to the ground and not have a place to stay. Listen, if you have a place to stay, I have a place to stay, I think I'm gonna try and find an apartment on my own, see if it would be easier for me. I think I'm happy with the decision, but thinking back on it, a roommate probably would have been preferred for me because then I would have so much extra money. So then I went off on my own, literally wandering LA completely by myself, taking pictures of signs by myself. And then I got a new idea after realizing that wasn't working the best for me either. It was working, but it just wasn't quick enough because at this point, I have about a month to stay with my mom's best friend. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna have to figure something else out. From the pictures on the signs, some of those signs have the renting agency's website on it. And so I was like, you know what? Let me start checking out these websites. So every single listing that had a website, I would go to their website and I would type in blah, 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 blah. And so many listings started popping up. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is it. So many listings that were in my budget range, so many listings that seemed perfect in the area that I was looking for. So I started going through every single website. I had like I had hundreds of these sign pictures, and I started going through every single one, and I was like, I'm gonna find a place, I'm gonna find a place, I'm gonna find a place. Right choice was to start going through those websites. Also, a friendly reminder for everyone that wasn't aware that when you're applying to these apartments, renting agencies, you are spending like about $40 each application or more. I've spent $65 on an application fee. I think total, I probably spent over $400, $500 alone just on application fee. It's just so expensive from point A all the way to point Z. It's like incredible. Even after spending $65 on an application, a lot of those places to this day I've still never heard back from, still never even told me that I was denied. So for everyone my age that also may not know this, when you first start, you have security deposit and you have first month's rent. So you're gonna give them pretty much, for me, I had to pay $13.50 first month's rent and then $13.50 to security deposit. The security deposit, if you don't know what that is, any damages that you have that happens in your apartment while you're leasing and after your lease ends, they will take out of that security deposit what they need to repair it. No, that's gonna be an easy $3,000 out of your pocket just moving into the apartment. At the end, I will do like a money chart of how much I spent before I finally found a place, but crazy amounts of money. I also just wanna mention really quick that the reason why my move seemed a lot more stressful is just the way I did it. Most people, before your move, you might have a place to stay at or you might have a place to rent already, and you might have all of that sorted out before you move. But if you did anything, if you're anything like me, risky-wise, I put myself in that situation. So that's why my move was a little bit more rough. But the fact that I could do it, even with being risky, should make it that much easier for anyone that's looking to move out of the state and they get everything they needed and know everything they needed in advance. So I hope this will assist you in making your move a little less stressful, but it probably will be. Now the next issue was, at the time, I did not have a job. The issue is, oh my gosh, I just signed a lease for $1,350 a month with no job. For me, I had already planned out a little bit that I was just going to go to a Home Depot because if you knew anything about me previously, I worked at Home Depot for about 3 years and I knew it would be rather easy to get accepted into literally any Home Depot. Now this is another thing. You need to be making 3 times the rent in some places. Some places is 2.5, but you need to be making 3 times the rent, and they'll specify before taxes or after taxes. I think after taxes, it'll be 2 times the rent, but before taxes, they want you to be making 3 times the rent. Also, if you can send the renting agencies what your savings account looks like, that will also factor into how seriously they look at your 3 times the rent. Well, if your credit's good enough, they'll probably still accept you despite you not making enough. Found an apartment, have a job, but my issue was Home Depot wasn't paying me enough. So I needed a new job. I'm not gonna say where I'm working currently because I don't know if I can get in trouble for any of that sort of stuff, and I don't even want my YouTube channel to be related to the current company I work for, but I found a new job. They pay me pretty well. It's going to definitely sustain me for the time being, and that is why I can afford everything I can. My apartment, still going out, and that was pretty much it. That's how I did my crazy move to LA, was shipping my car with no job, no income, and making it work. You have it in your power to have an apartment figured out before you come, have a place to stay figured out before you come, have a job, most importantly, before you come, because also the job competition is very high in LA to get a good paying job to afford living on your own or even with roommates. If you can. If you want to be risky like me, please go for it, but I do not want to be someone that inspires people to do risky things and end up homeless or in some sort of shelter. I got lucky, if I'm being so honest with you. I got lucky. Thankfully, everything ended up working out for me. The cards played out for me, and I am in a great spot at the moment. But that's how I made my move to LA. Now I'm gonna quickly go over my spending chart on everything that I spend it on. So let me get my calculator out right now. So for starters, I spent $1,000 to ship my car to LA. $500 on an application fee. $480 on gas. Food, I don't even know how to calculate how much food I spent because I wasn't grocery shopping at the time because I didn't have like a stable place to really live. It was 2 months, I spent $400. Then I spent $1,350 on my security deposit, $1,350 on my first month's rent. I spent $500 to get Champ shipped here. So with that, I had spent $5,580 moving to LA. Just getting here spent me about $5,000, $6,000. My savings was $7,000. About $1,000 left to just survive. And at the time I had no job. So if you have in your power, because if I had $10,000 saved, I would be so fine. Anyone thinking about moving to LA or really any major city, I feel like this applies to moving anywhere. I hope this video helped and some tactics and tips that I used to get here, even though I did a very crazy move. If you're thinking about moving, I encourage you to do it. But I also encourage you to be super prepared while you're doing it because you don't want to end up unhappy or in a new place because you weren't prepared enough. So I wish all of you luck who are considering moving to LA, and I wish all of you even more luck that you find everything you need and more in this city, this awesome city. I think it's amazing. I love the city. I will go more into detail what I like about this city in the next video. I promise not to make LA my whole personality trait, but there's probably a lot that people want to hear from me since I've done this move, and I definitely want to be able to satisfy everyone that is curious on how I did it, what I like about it, what I hate about it. I'm going to make one more video regarding LA and my experience here, and then we'll get back to normal vlogs. We'll start with the normal airing, like we'll be good. But okay, I think that's it. I'm going to end the video here, but thank you all for watching. Again, I hope I inspired someone to plan that move, get ready to start jumping on that move and making your dreams come true, because it's definitely possible to make your dreams come true, and you definitely have the power in you to do it. So I'm gonna end the video. Thank you for watching. I will see you all next week, probably.